The San Diego Housing Federation will hold its 2020 Affordable Housing and Community Development Conference this week. Now, because of the pandemic, the conference had to be moved to a virtual format. One of the focuses of the conference is going to be how housing affects our physical and mental health. And joining us to discuss this is one of the keynote speakers, Dr. Megan Sandel. Doctor, thank you so much for talking with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to guest.
Whoops. Okay, I think we can hear each other. So before we get to the focus, can you give me an overview of what happens during this conference?
Yeah, so the San Diego Federation is over 600 developers. Really, it's a public-private partnership. And so I'm really excited to give one of the public-facing keynotes that people can log into, able to talk about how a stable, decent, affordable home is a prescription for good health.
Yeah, let's take a dive deeper into that because, I mean, a stable, affordable home, not necessarily what we're seeing this day and age. So how does that affect our mental health?
Yeah, I think that in many ways we understand now housing instability as being so important to people's health more than ever during COVID. So we now understand not only is it about being able to keep a roof over your head, but being able to juggle the bills between rent or food or heat or cooling costs. And I think in many ways now that home is a place where you need to learn and potentially work from, it's more important than ever. We know many San Diegans don't have access to that stable home. And I think that there's some really exciting measures like Measure A that's going to make that more available to people.
Talk to me about some of those specific impacts that not having a stable home over your head can have on your mental health, and is it different for kids than adults?
Yeah, I think that we understand now housing can be important not only to your physical health in terms of whether or not there are chemical exposures or sometimes mold or pests or other things, but also your mental health. We did some research in Boston showing that when people are behind on rent, they have much higher rates of anxiety and depression. We also know that kids can sometimes internalize some of that parental stress and can result in kids having developmental delays, sometimes even hospitalizations. And so more and more we have to understand that everyone in the house is impacted when it's an affordable home.
What are some of the other topics that you're going to be discussing over this next week?
I think what's exciting is more and more we in the healthcare system are really understanding that home is where the health is. And so there's some really exciting new ways to have health and housing partnerships, ways in which you can not only create affordable housing, but you can also make homes healthier. You can do virtual home visits. You can be able to talk about different types of services. And so more and more, I think you're going to see health and housing partnerships become the norm so that we can make people healthier.
All right. I know you're going to a virtual format, but it doesn't mean that it's open for the public, right?
I think that this one is going to be actually on YouTube and can be watched by anyone. So I think that that's one of the exciting things. I'm really excited that the conference organizers made that available.
All right. It's going on right now through the 9th. Dr. Sandel, thank you so much for talking with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.